The opening scene unfolds with Beau on the stage of a local bar. However, before he unveils his mellifluous melodies, he chooses to enrapture the listeners with a tale from his past. He regales them with an account of his childhood, painting a vivid picture of a time when his mother was a great fan of the soulful strains of Silver Wings, which inspired in him a deep yearning to master the tune on his guitar. And so, with unwavering dedication and countless hours of practice, he embarked on a journey of musical exploration. The moment arrived when he was ready to serenade his mother with his rendition of the song. But her response was not one of unbridled adoration. Instead, she offered a critique of his performance, imploring him to improve his skills. This gentle rebuke fueled Beau's passion for music and propelled him to strive for excellence. The stage is teeming with merrymakers, where couples sway to the rhythm of the music and children frolic around the stage. Beau and his band deliver a rousing performance that grips the audience in a trance of enchantment. As the sound of music fills the air, Beau's voice emanates a raw, passionate power that echoes throughout the room. As Beau takes leave from the stage, he makes his way to the rehabilitation center, his lips adorned with the dangling of cigarettes. Despite the nurse's stern admonition, he sneaks into the chamber of Mrs. Cantor, wielding his guitar with great bravado. Kelly, lying abed, smiles with great felicity as Beau strums and sings with a fervor unmatched. Their exchange of glances and shared joy does fill the room, as though a palpable aura has been created. Beau's mind falters, and his memory of the lyrics betrays him. Yet, in a sudden twist, Kelly takes the guitar and, with stunning prowess, begins to sing, leaving Beau in a state of awe. In a sudden moment of disruption, James appears, demanding to know what they are doing. Kelly diffuses the tension by introducing Beau as her sponsor, and James shifts his focus to requesting Beau's assistance in transporting Kelly's belongings. Startled by James' sudden announcement, Beau turns to Kelly, his face fraught with surprise and confusion. He cannot fathom why she would leave so soon when she still has a month left. His heart sinks as Kelly explains that the center is discharging her, because she has made a recovery. Beau's heart is heavy with disappointment at the thought of losing Kelly's company. In this moment of anguish, James interjects, his tone laced with aggression, reminding Beau that Dr. Stevens is Kelly's physician, and not him. James boldly declares that he alone will take responsibility for Kelly's welfare. When Beau hears James' words, his face twisted in a blend of resentment, helps him with the baggage. Venturing through the woods, James divulges to Kelly that she must grace the stage in Dallas to prove the naysayers wrong and resurrect her dormant musical prowess. Despite her vocal hesitations, Kelly insists that Beau should perform as her opening act, declaring him a prodigious singer. James, however, has already secured another artist as the opener, reassuring Kelly that he will ensure the performer's capability. Kelly jests, beseeching James not to mollify her. Eventually, Kelly settles upon a bench with a small box in hand, within which she cradles a feathered creature. As James inquires about it, Kelly reveals that she had discovered it stranded upon a tree. With hope of its mother's return, she waited patiently for 20 minutes, only to find no sign of the parent bird. And since then, she has revealed that she has been taking care of it. In this moment of mirth, James turns to Kelly with grave importance, urging her to prepare with utmost vigilance for a great tour that lies ahead. With a nod, Kelly assents to the charge, and they both leave the rehab facility. The subsequent scene shows James and Kelly seated in a moving car as they depart the center. An assemblage of journalists swarm their car, eager to inquire about Kelly's welfare. Last year, Kelly's flagrant misconduct and proclivity for spirits resulted in her apprehension, amplifying the curiosity of the press corps. James, from his window, answers the besieging queries with an amiable smile, assuring them of Kelly's well-being and expressing his eagerness for their impending tour. They continue their journey with cheerful faces. Next, as Beau emerges from his truck, he beholds a lengthy queue of eager people awaiting entrance to the very bar where he is going to perform. His assistant greets him warmly, an unexpected gesture that fills Beau with wonder. Inquiring as to her presence, she reveals that she came to support and encourage not only him, but also Chiles, the newfound talent sharing the bill, which surprised Beau. Venturing forth into the backstage, Beau espies Chiles deep in preparation. Assuming her presence to wish him luck, Beau is caught unawares by the revelation that Chiles is slated to perform 3 songs that very evening. In fact, she is Kelly's new presenter, and James, her new manager, has given her this opportunity. Beau sits with the sole intention to deride the fair Chiles, taunting her for the icy reception she once received when she last performed before an audience. But Chiles retorts, her voice ringing with a confident tone, informing him that 7 months have passed since that day, and she is now ready to take the stage once more. Rising from her seat, she goes to select her gown. Yet still, Beau persists in his mockery, scorning her for her lack of proficiency on the guitar and boasting of his own superior experience. Though Chiles doesn't falter, telling him that she has penned her own songs, and remains steadfast, she resumes her singing with a resolute spirit. In an instant, the silence of the room is broken by the entry of an old man, whose aura commands attention. Beau, standing with a haughty posture, approaches him assured in his belief that he has been apprised of the night's proceedings, and there will be no opening for him. However, the man reveals that none other than the illustrious Garth Brooks will be closing tonight. Beau's face contorts, his pride deflates, and he protests vehemently that Chiles should not usurp his rightful place in the performance. Undeterred, the man admits that he can't say no. With an unwavering voice, he declares that Chiles will indeed take the stage, regardless of the piece she chooses to perform. With a sly and cunning smile playing upon her lips, Chiles turns to Beau, making it clear that she has no nefarious desire to steal his intangible path to success. Next, as the doors of the bar swing open, James strides into the dimly lit hall. Clint welcomes him as he leads James through the lively crowd, abuzz with chatter and laughter. James can feel the energy pulsating through the atmosphere as he eagerly inquires about the upcoming performance of Chiles. Clint reassures him that her performance is imminent, promising an evening of delight and wonder. James listens intently as Clint recounts his previous encounter with her singing, describing her as a diamond in the rough, a rare gem waiting to be discovered. As they approach the bar counter, James settles in while Clint probes about the attendance of the elusive Kelly. James confesses to Kelly's need for rest. Clint nods understandingly, bidding him farewell and wishing him an enjoyable show. Next, the auspicious moment approaches, with Chiles' eyes transfixed on Beau as he sings with fervor, encouraged by the throng of spectators. Upon the conclusion of his part, he wishes Chiles a good fortune, and settles himself beside his friend, voicing his doubt about her triumph. The air pulsates with anticipation while the audience holds its breath, waiting for the outcome of Chiles. Chiles walks through the bustling gathering, her eyes shine as she mounts the stage, commanding the attention of the assembly with her presence. She greets them with a warm smile, proclaiming her intention to grace them with 3 songs. When the band strikes up a lively tune, Chiles takes a deep breath, but alas, her voice falters, a note escaping her grasp, and she quickly offers apologies, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. The audience's once rapturous attention wanes, and murmurs ripple through the crowd like a disapproving wave. Chiles tries to regain her composure. She starts again, her voice trembling with anxiety and the weight of expectations. But once more, she stumbles, her words faltering like a broken lute string. She implores for the stage lights to be dimmed, hoping to find solace in the shadows, but they only seem to cast a harsher spotlight on her struggles. Despite her best efforts, Chiles' performance continues to unravel. Her knees feel weak. James, who had been eagerly anticipating Chiles' performance, watches on disappointed. In a valiant attempt to salvage the moment, Beau's heart quickens as he grasps his beloved guitar. With determined steps, he ascends the stage, joining Chiles, whose radiant smile illuminates the darkness that had befallen her. A silent understanding passes between them, and they begin to strum and sing in unison, their voices blending into a melodious harmony that fills the air. Chiles, once shaken, now stands tall, her confidence and composure returning with each note. Her movements on the stage are graceful, buoyed by the magnetic presence of Beau. The stage is transformed into a realm of pure magic as Beau and Chiles share this moment of musical alchemy. Later, Beau goes outside, smoking a cigarette, accompanied by his friends. But soon, James seeks him out. His face is lit with admiration, and he effusively praises Beau's performance, mentioning how his chemistry with Chiles, his stage partner, was unmatched, a dynamic duo that left the audience in awe. Beau, ever gracious, smiles and thanks James. James, curious, asks if Beau has ever considered forming a duo, a thought that has crossed his mind before. But Beau, with a swift shake of his head, denies the possibility. Undeterred, James suggests that Beau join Kelly on her upcoming tour. He sees potential in Beau, and he wants to see him reach greater heights. But Beau remains steadfast, his loyalty unwavering. He professes his deep affection for singing at the bar, where he has found a sense of belonging and camaraderie with his friends, a bond that goes beyond the stage. James eloquently expounds on the grandeur and magnificence of performing in front of multitudes, in massive stadiums that stretch beyond the horizon. But Beau, resolute and unyielding, rebuffs James once again, unmoved by his impassioned words. James is preparing to depart when he turns to Beau and invokes his role as Kelly's sponsor, asking him to support and uplift her as she strives to regain her strength and confidence. But Beau, ever reticent, provides no answers to James's inquiries. Despite his best efforts, James's appeals have fallen on deaf ears, and he departs. Returning to the bar, Chiles continues to regale the audience with her mellifluous voice, which is brimming with elation and bliss. The next scene unfolds in the bedroom, where James and Kelly recline on the bed. James is facing away from her. Kelly, with a touch of uncertainty, inquires if she is a skilled songstress, and he affirms her prowess. She implores him to rate her, employing a scale of 1 to 10, and without hesitation, James declares her a perfect 10. Kelly, taken aback, then reveals that on this scale, 10 represents the nadir, to which James chuckles and jokes that she is, in fact, a mere 1. Kelly playfully suggests zero as a possibility, and another chuckle escapes James's lips, his amusement palpable, as he bestows upon her the title of a resolute zero. An abrupt silence ensues, punctuated only by the shimmering tears that glisten in Kelly's eyes, as she utters an apology to James for the events that unfolded in Dallas. James, in turn, extends his own regret, his voice tinged with sorrow. Kelly, with a note of urgency, asserts that they must address the matter. She reveals that she had undergone a waxing session earlier, in a tender attempt to rekindle their once fiery passion, to entice him into their shared embrace, for she yearns for his affection. However, James dismisses her advances, stating that they will reunite after 8 hours of sleep, a coldness creeping into his tone. Kelly's heart sinks, her hopes are dashed. As Kelly turns away, preparing to rest, James tenderly confides that the first time he heard her voice, it was as if she had descended from paradise. Kelly, with a warm smile, remarks that she finds this story endearing each time she hears it. The sun rose the following morning, casting its golden rays upon Kelly and James as they arrived, flanked by journalists eager to pry into Kelly's well-being, the upcoming tour, and the whispers of their impending divorce. James, ever the composite figure, assures the reporters that all is well under his watchful eye. They stride purposefully towards their waiting van. But before they can embark, Kelly is greeted by Chiles, who eagerly seeks her autograph, revealing a lifelong admiration that has taken root since her youth. Chiles, inquisitive and eager, seeks advice from Kelly, the seasoned songstress, on the path of a budding singer. Kelly, her voice tinged with wisdom, speaks of the long and winding road ahead of her as a young singer. James, however, remains unmoved by Chiles' presence, his face unyielding as he gazes upon her. He asserts in a curt manner that his gestures are not meant for her benefit. With a sense of finality, he tells her that they will meet in Houston, and without further ado, he ascends the van, leaving Chiles in a state of bewilderment and disappointment. Chiles, seeking solace, finds refuge in the other van, where Beau and his band of merry minstrels reside. Beau, with a honeyed voice, serenades his friends, deliberately aiming his melodies at Chiles. Her frustration simmers. With a defiant glint in her eye, Chiles retorts, her words sharp and laced with defiance, denying any need for Beau's condescending assistance. She recounts how she has held her own on the stage, her voice soaring and captivating audiences without his intervention. But Beau, unrelenting, continues his melodic taunts, and resumes singing with his mates. In the ensuing scene, they saunter through the bustling restaurant. Kelly, with her eyes lit up by a glimmer of excitement, turns to James and proposes, in a hushed tone, a rendition of Coming Home. But James, ever the pragmatic one, his brow furrowed in concern, reminds her that they don't own the rights to the song. Kelly, her belief unshaken, is confident that Bob will grant them the coveted rights after the praises they have showered upon him. James instead redirects her focus to their upcoming show in Houston, promising to discuss it further thereafter, and they settle at their table. Kelly's keen gaze is drawn to a couple seated across from her. She can't help but be captivated, her mind drifting to their younger years, when they were just two ordinary souls navigating the uncertainties of life. She recalls how she had felt plain and unassuming, yet James, with his unwavering affection, had fallen for her, seeing beauty in her where she had not. Next, Kelly, behind the scenes, in the backstage area, readies herself, her eyes glittering with anticipation. Suddenly, like a burst of sunlight, Beau enters with a gleeful countenance, overjoyed to see Kelly. Her face lights up as she greets him warmly, and Beau, captivated by her appearance, praises her, likening her to a blazing fire that sets the stage ablaze. Kelly, smiling, graciously accepts his compliments. Then, she dismisses her entourage, requesting a private moment alone with Beau. She takes him by the hand and, with a bewitching smile, leads him further backstage. Her eyes lock with his, and in that moment, they are the only two souls in the room. In a soft voice, she beseeches Beau not to sleep with any of the girls on tour, claiming him as her own. Her words are a plea from the depths of her heart, filled with vulnerability and longing. Beau, with a mischievous smile, retorts that she is, in fact, sleeping with James. Kelly's eyes widen with surprise, but she vehemently denies it, insisting they no longer even share kisses. Unable to resist any longer, Kelly leans in to kiss Beau, and the atmosphere is filled with the fire of their passion. Their lips meet with a hunger that has been suppressed for far too long. Reluctantly, she tears herself away with emotions too profound for words. She turns to her duties, resuming her preparations. Beau stands by her side, his keen eyes taking in Kelly's actions as she consumes a multitude of pills. His curiosity piques, he gently inquires about them, and Kelly, with a sigh, confides that they are vital to maintain her strength. But then, Kelly's attention turns to James, and she implores Beau to find him. Beau sets off with a determined stride, only to come upon James in the company of Chiles. Beau wastes no time in interrogating him about the pills, his voice sharp with anger. James cuts him off, rising from his chair, and warns him to stay out of Kelly's affairs and ensure she doesn't mix the pills with alcohol. Beau feels a surge of frustration at James' dismissive tone, but he holds his ground, determined to protect Kelly. As James turns back to his conversation with Chiles, Beau returns to Kelly and informs her of James' absence due to an emergency. But as she walks down the hall to catch a glimpse of James laughing and chatting with Chiles, Beau can see the hurt and disappointment etched on her face. Next, the dashing Beau strides onto the grand stage, bestowing his greetings upon the eager audience. Adorned with a guitar in his grasp, he plucks its strings with deft fingers, producing a melody that resonates with fervent emotions. His mellifluous voice rises above the clamor, filling the air with its captivating charm. As the scene unfolds in the dressing room, amidst the flurry of activity, one of Kelly's attendants approaches her, bearing a parcel adorned with intricate wrappings. Kelly's curiosity is piqued as she eagerly reaches out to receive the red box. Kelly unwraps the package, her heart skips a beat as she gingerly lifts the lid, revealing a ghastly sight, a baby doll, drenched in bloodstains. Aghast, a horrified gasp escapes her lips, and she recoils in terror, her mind racing with confusion and fear. Her mind, once filled with excitement and anticipation, now races with confusion and fear. James quickly rushes to her side, his countenance fraught with concern. In a frantic gesture, he summons the security, urgently seeking their aid in this unsettling turn of events. The dressing room, once a sanctuary of backstage serenity, now resonates with tension and dismay. Kelly's mind is in disarray as she struggles to make sense of the horrific gift that has been bestowed upon her. Having completed his grandiose performance, which had enraptured the audience and earned him a resounding standing ovation, Beau gracefully leaves the limelight behind. He retreats towards the backstage, where the air is thick with a sense of urgency. As he makes his way through the corridors, he catches snippets of hushed conversations among the staff, discussing matters of security in concerned tones. With a determined stride, Beau hastens towards Kelly's chamber, his mind swirling with apprehension. He longs to gain entry to offer his support in these uncertain times. However, upon his arrival, he is met with resistance as Kelly, clearly in a state of distress, rebuffs his initial attempts to enter. Undeterred, Beau persists, beseeching Kelly with earnest words. Kelly, who appears withdrawn and forlorn, clutches a bottle of alcohol tightly, as if seeking refuge from her inner turmoil. She utters words of affection for James, her voice laced with emotion, as she implores Beau to leave her alone. Immediately, James enters the room, and Beau steps aside with a somber nod, granting him passage to Kelly. James' heart aches with sorrow as he beholds Kelly in such anguish. With trembling lips, Kelly confides in James, her voice choked with emotion. People suspect that she may have caused precious baby. James listens attentively, his mind filled with a tumultuous mix of feelings. Kelly pleads with James, her desperation palpable, as she implores him for another chance. She asserts her unwavering ability to have kids, hoping against hope to rekindle their lost happiness. But James remains unmoved. He approaches her, and he urges her to rise and go out on stage, to perform for her adoring fans like a dazzling bombshell, masking her pain behind a facade of glamour. However, Kelly refuses, her defiance flaring as she shakes her head vehemently. However, James tries to coax her up, his voice filled with urgency. And in a sudden surge of emotion, she strikes him with a forceful punch to the face, a physical manifestation of her anger that catches James off guard. James touches his stinging cheek, his heart heavy. Perplexed by the turn of events and her own actions, Kelly extends her apologies to James. She humbles herself before him, vowing to heed his every command. James, in response, beseeches her to take the stage. Kelly grasps his face and bestows upon him a kiss, but James recoils from her touch. Meanwhile, on the stage, her voice, like a symphony of mellifluous tones, rises and falls in perfect harmony with the rhythm of the words she utters. And as she exits the stage, Chiles carries with her a sense of pride and joy, knowing that she has left an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of the audience. Then, with a sense of purpose, James enfolds Kelly in his embrace, as they stride resolutely towards the stage. Kelly adorns herself with her guitar, and as the curtains unfurl amid a chorus of jubilant cheers and exclamations from the audience, the music begins with unbridled enthusiasm. Yet Kelly ceases the melody abruptly, laying aside her guitar, and takes up the microphone. With profound gratitude, she expresses her thanks for the love of her fans, her voice heavy with emotion. Her words reveal her inner conflict, as she speaks of beholding the stars from her dressing room window, pondering if they would care for her. She hints at a sorrow buried deep beneath the veneer of her speech. A momentary hush descends, as Kelly inquires of the assembled throng about Beau's recent performance, inciting a torrent of praise from the mesmerized audience. Backstage, James signals the band with fervor, urging them to start playing. Yet Kelly interjects once again, expressing her yearning to sing while seated. With a flourish of brilliance, she launches into a soul-stirring rendition of Fighter bathed in a radiant blaze of lights, casting her in a dazzling aura. Kelly starts singing with fervor, surmounting her fears and vexations, as the audience roars in resolute support. Yet, in a sudden moment of obliviousness to her surroundings, she falters, her dulcet voice giving way to a torrent of tears. Swiftly, James approaches, enfolding her in his embrace, as the curtains fall, shrouding them from the world's gaze. Later, whilst traversing the hall, Chiles confides in Beau, her troubled mind in disarray. Their journey to Dallas seems impossible, foretelling the tour's impending doom. Beau urges her to regain her composure, calm and steady. Suddenly, James interjects, confronting Beau and casting blame upon him for not preventing her from drinking alcohol. James demands to know Beau's whereabouts, to which Beau tells him that he was on the stage. James, consumed by anger, berates him for not finding a solution. Beau stands firm, facing James squarely, not bowing to his wrath, asserting that it's James' own fault for releasing Kelly's rehab hold, a hasty manner. With that, Beau departs and finds himself surrounded by adoring fans, whom he obligingly signs autographs for, all under the watchful gaze of James. The morrow dawns, and there lies Kelly, reclined upon her bed, her face fraught with despair. Her manager, JJ, arrives with tidings of an exigent press conference she must attend, along with Travis, who battles the ravages of blood cancer. He issues instructions to her staff to restore order to her disheveled chamber before he takes his leave, leaving James with a visage marked by palpable anxiety and distress. As they make their way to the next destination in the van, Beau finds himself sitting beside Chiles, her delicate hands clutching some notes. Curious, he inquires about them, but Chiles remains tight-lipped, unwilling to share. Beau gently takes the notes from her and peruses them, only to realize they contain general information. Chiles quickly reclaims her notes, her voice filled with defiance as she retorts that she hasn't been studying further, citing how people, including Beau, have labeled her a dumb beauty. Beau, taken aback by her accusation, smiles warmly and refutes ever having called her such. He assures her that he holds her intellect in high esteem. But Chiles, unconvinced, accuses him of feigning innocence. Their exchange is interrupted by one of their bandmates, who jokingly suggests that they bunked together for the night, prompting smiles from both Beau and Chiles. They share a fleeting moment of camaraderie amidst the journey to their next destination. Once they arrive in Austin, Kelly takes the stage for her press conference with a flourish, brimming with newfound confidence that radiates from her very being. She proclaims herself ready for a remarkable performance, her voice ringing with assurance. But when a journalist inquires about Dallas, Kelly's composure wavers for a moment, her eyes betraying a flicker of hesitation. Yet, she gathers herself and acknowledges the tumultuous history she shares with the city, expressing a genuine desire to bring about change. With a regal nod, Kelly leaves the stage, making way for Chiles, who captivates James with a glimmer of admiration in his eyes. The journalist's inquiries continue, but Chiles stands tall, unruffled, as she answers each question with poise and grace. From yonder perch, Beau and Kelly gaze upon Chiles, with Kelly inquiring of Beau's opinion of her. Beau dismisses the topic, suggesting that Kelly engage in something audacious, urging her to venture out and embrace the extraordinary. The ensuing scene portrays Kelly and Beau atop a moving freight train, both raising their voices in exultation. Kelly boasts of her illustrious career, regaling Beau with tales of her 7 albums and 6 Grammy Awards. Yet her face changes, and melancholy befalls her when she mentions her marriage. Beau, tenderly, enfolds her in his embrace and presses a consoling kiss upon her forehead. Next, in the chamber where melodies flow, Chiles graces the air with her song, her voice a marvel to behold, admired by Bob. James informs him with joy that Kelly, with a heart eager and true, longs to sing his songs of coming home. But Bob, with a retort quick and sharp, declares that it's Chiles who will sing it, for her voice has much more to offer, and so he takes his leave. Meanwhile, Kelly and Beau, after a shared and refreshing shower, embrace in a kiss, brimming with love, their lips entwined in endless passion. Yet, swift as a raging tempest, Beau retreats, declaring they must desist, for Kelly is bound to James. Kelly tells him that she has been married all along, and Beau, with a mournful tone, asserts that he may not be doing what is best for her, acting in her own interest. Kelly, sad, gathers her belongings, accusing Beau of dwelling in his own realm, ill-equipped to behave with women, and she takes her leave. As she enters her chamber, she is met by James, who inquires where she has been, and she reveals she was with Beau. James questions why she wears a towel, and she explains she and Beau were outside, and she was soiled, hence needing a shower. James, vexed, exclaims it must have been a delightful time, and Kelly confirms it so. Then, with frustration, James retires to the bed, wearing Kelly's demeanor. In the ensuing scene, Beau makes his way to Chiles' room, where she receives him with warmth. They engage in a protracted conversation about music, the Miss World competition, their laughter filling the air as they enjoy a shared libation. They conjure up visions of replacing the national anthem with a soulful country song, and Chiles playfully adorns Beau's face with cosmetics, styling his hair. As the night progresses, Beau, inebriated from imbibing too much, proposes a swimsuit competition, and he begins to disrobe, much to Chiles' amusement as she reclines on the floor. Encouraging Chiles to do the same, she complies. Beau proceeds to share his plans for their future endeavors when an unexpected knock on the door interrupts their merriment. In haste, Chiles hastily dresses, assuming it is James who has arrived. Chiles opens the door to reveal James standing before her, and she fabricates a story about telling Beau about the competition walk, claiming that he was just about to depart. As Beau makes his exit, James derides his painted face with a funny tone. James then presents Chiles with a magazine that bestows upon her the title of one of the top 10 emerging country musicians to follow, likening her to the esteemed Carrie Underwood. Chiles receives the magazine with a mix of surprise and elation, and she inquires how he knew of her untapped talent and boundless potential. James, with a disarming smile, simply states that it was apparent with a mere glance in her direction. The next morning, Beau asks Chiles if she found merriment in the previous eve with James. Chiles, affirming, hands him a paper, declaring that she has penned the chorus to his song. A smile graces Beau's face as he commends her for finding the time. But Chiles, sensing mockery, challenges him. Upon glancing at the paper, Beau nods, prompting Chiles to depart in a huff. In the subsequent scene, Kelly, with suddenness, conceals Beau's eyes with her hands and starts to warble. Beau is startled, reminding Kelly that she is not supposed to be there. Kelly, with sharp answers, claims that finding him was not laborious, for she sought him in the most bad bar in the city, and there he was. She asks him to accompany her, and after much contemplation, he concedes, yielding to her allure as he follows her. Kelly, with Beau by her side, leads him with determination to the recording studio, her heart swelling with excitement. She informs him that his talent has garnered a considerable following, and that his covers must be sold. As they enter, Kelly is taken aback, for she witnesses Chiles singing her cherished song Coming Home. Her heart sinks, and she confronts James in a fit of rage. James, ever the smooth talker, claims that Bob has sent more exquisite songs than Coming Home. Her anger boils over while James tries to calm her down, but Kelly pushes him away, unfiltered. Beau looks on silently, a witness to the unfolding drama. Immediately, Kelly retreats to the restroom, seeking solace in the privacy of the small space. She cradles herself, weeping. James, desperate to reconcile, pleads with her to open the door. He slides a box containing her pet bird under the door, a reminder that it needs her care. Kelly accuses him of trying to assuage her pain and make her forget the recent events, but James remains persistent. He sits on the floor, leaning against the door, his voice filled with urgency, as he urges her to come out and take the bird with her. He explains that he cannot bring the bird to his next revelry, pleading with Kelly to let him make amends. Kelly's heart softens as she opens the box and finds some solace in the presence of her beloved pet. But her face is marred by smeared makeup, a reflection of the turmoil within her soul. At last, she emerges from the restroom, and her assistant accompanies her to the hotel. Beau, in the meantime, confronts James regarding Kelly's ailing health. With a creased brow, Beau tells James to confront the grim reality. However, James, obstinate and unyielding, refuses to acknowledge the severity of Kelly's condition. He remains resolute in his belief that she will recover and regain her former splendor. But Beau, privy to the truth, realizes Kelly's fate is sealed. In a fit of wrath, James strikes Beau with a vicious blow to the jaw, sending him crashing to the ground, before departing. Next, Beau ventures forth to the van, inquiring of Kelly's whereabouts, only to be informed by her assistant that she has set off in search of him. Swift as a coursing deer, Beau makes his way to the bar, where he spies Kelly perched atop the counter, inebriated and singing, lost in the depths of her drunken stupor, with a clamorous audience urging her on. Without hesitation, he takes her in his arms, and with urgency, he summons Chiles, bidding her come hither in a taxi to the rear of the bar. Kelly, in her befuddled state, protests, claiming that Beau deprives her of merriment. Chiles arrives, and Beau cradles Kelly tenderly, placing her in the taxi, her head resting upon Chiles' lap. Kelly confides her long-held desire for a daughter, vowing to indulge her with cars and piercings aplenty. Chiles recounts childhood memories of her own, of her mother piercing her ears and wearing fake diamond earrings, and flashbacks flood back to her. Kelly turns to Chiles, urging her to care for Beau, for he is a man of kindness, before she falls into silence until they reach their destination. Both Beau and Chiles assist Kelly in alighting from the taxi, leading her inside, where James awaits, wrathful and vexed, demanding to know where they were. Alas, Kelly rushes to a bin, retching in sickness, while the crowd outside calls her name. James asks Kelly to compose herself, but Chiles intercedes, proclaiming that Kelly is unwell. A glance is shared between James and Beau, confirming the earlier words spoken. James confronts Kelly's manager, JJ, telling him that Kelly is doing well. But JJ, in utter despair, declares Kelly's career for naught, bemoaning losses and return tickets from fans. He departs, leaving James disappointed, casting a reproachful gaze upon Kelly's unfortunate situation. Soon after, Beau takes to the stage, apologizing for the tardiness, and proclaims his intent to sing a new original, accompanied by his dear Chiles. He asks her to join him, and though she demurs at first, eventually, with hesitant steps, she stands by his side. Beau's skilled fingers pluck the guitar strings, and their voices meld in mellifluous harmony, a release of their shared tension, the stage bearing witness to their emotions. Upon the grand spectacle, reporters swarm around Beau, asking him about Kelly's condition, inquiring if her absence is a result of indulging in spirits. Yet, Beau, resolute in his resolve, steadfastly declines to respond, and with a resolute gait, he departs, leaving the queries unanswered. Beau strides to Kelly's van, where he discovers her entwined with JJ in a desperate bid to dissuade him from canceling the tour. Beau forcefully ejects JJ from the van, confronting Kelly with a mix of concern and dismay. He implores her to dress herself and demands to know what she's doing. Kelly retorts with a bitter tone, insinuating that he doesn't truly care about her, and if he did, she would be a priority. Beau, anguished, insists that he does care, but Kelly, in her perceived misery, remains oblivious. In her dire distress, Kelly's trembling hand seeks solace in the glass bottle of alcohol, her eyes blurred with tears. But Beau attempts to wrench it from her desperate grasp, struggling against her in an attempt to save her from herself. With a fierce grunt, he hurls the bottle with all his might, shattering it. Kelly's resolve crumbles, and she collapses into a heap of despair, her sobs echoing through the room. Beau, with tender grace, enfolds Kelly in his arms, guiding her with care towards the bed, and assisting her in donning clothes. He embraces her, bestowing a gentle kiss upon her forehead, offering solace in her moment of fragility. Later, Beau seeks refuge in a bar, consumed by his own thoughts. Soon thereafter, Chiles arrives at Beau's room, and with a questioning gaze, she enters, revealing her intentions. Chiles discloses that Kelly is unraveling, forewarning that Dallas festivities may be canceled. Beau, worried by it all, attempts to close the door, only to be stopped in his tracks by Chiles, who accuses him of being rude to her. Beau persists, pressing her for her true motives, yet Chiles admits to uncertainty. Resolute, Beau endeavors to shut the door, but Chiles interjects again. Beau persists, demanding to know her true desires. In a sudden twist of fate, he seizes Chiles, drawing her into an intimate embrace, and kisses her with ardent passion, pulling her into the room. Their intimacy unfolds in palpable tension, with their lips meeting fervently, bodies entwined, and smiles exchanged. The following morning, James readies himself for departure, but Kelly, curious, inquires of his whereabouts. With a calm face, James explains his quest to find proper care for the box with the bird. Kelly, in turn, reveals her success in persuading JJ to allow them to proceed with Dallas revelry. James, unsurprised, as if having foreseen Kelly's use of her intimacy with JJ as leverage, leaves the room. Meanwhile, on the bed, Beau and Chiles revel in each other's company, wrapped in the ecstasy of their feelings. Kelly confides in Beau, confessing her failure to be crowned Miss Dallas, citing her inability to answer a question on global warming. Chiles, seeking reassurance, asks Beau if he still holds her in favor, to which he affirms his admiration, noting that she stands apart from others and that is what captivates him. They exchange more kisses, lost in their affection for each other. In the ensuing scene, Kelly pays a visit to Travis, the young boy who is grappling with the relentless grip of cancer. Her intention is to capture some poignant photographs together, in a bid to mend her tarnished image following her cancelled events and disappointed fans. As she enters the room, filled with a sense of compassion, she takes her place beside Travis, offering him a reverent greeting. Travis, with his innocent eyes, inquires if Kelly plans to sing for him. Kelly responds with a radiant smile, revealing that she has brought her band along precisely for that purpose. She proceeds to regale him with a new composition, pouring her heart and soul into the performance, accompanied by her band's fervent melodies. Kelly's music becomes a balm for Travis, a respite from his pain and suffering. She implores him to dance with her, her eyes filled with compassion and love. Kelly cradles Travis in her arms, their bodies swaying gently to the rhythm of her song. The other children, drawn to the merriment, join in, their faces lighting up with glee. James, an observer in the room, watches Kelly with a smile, appreciating her maternal warmth and the genuine connection she has formed with Travis. James joins her, holding her hand in a fleeting moment of tenderness. Kelly is filled with a sense of love and appreciation, her heart swelling with joy as she dances with the children and James. But soon, James withdrew, tears brimming in his eyes, leaving Kelly heartbroken. She can sense the sadness in his gaze, and her own heart aches with longing. The subsequent scene unfolds with a picturesque portrayal of the group's journey to Dallas. Chiles, in a deep sleep, finds solace in Beau's embrace as they travel together. Fans eagerly await Kelly's arrival, lining the roads with palpable excitement as her van makes its grand entrance. Later, in a moment of sheer magnificence, Beau presents Chiles with a dazzling pair of diamond earrings shaped like stars, a gift that takes her breath away. Her eyes brim with tears as she says that they are expensive for him, unable to fathom such opulence. But Beau, ever the charmer, reassures her with tender words, urging her to accept the precious adornments. As Chiles wears the earrings, she is visibly moved by Beau's gesture, her emotions swirling in a tumultuous sea. Beau reveals to her that he is bound for New York, a revelation that catches Chiles off guard. She queries his motives, her curiosity piqued. Beau explains that a friend of his owns a beachfront farm in New York and has invited him to help out. He shares his plan to sing at a local bar, a chance to showcase his musical talents and entertain the local audience, instead of aimlessly wandering from city to city. He suggests that Chiles join him, painting a picture of a blissful life where they can write songs together and revel in each other's company. Chiles is taken aback by Beau's proposition, her mind swirling with possibilities. Beau draws closer to Chiles, his heart laid bare before her. He implores her to take a leap of faith and join him on this journey. Chiles, in a moment of vulnerability, succumbs to her feelings and agrees, sealing their decision with a heartfelt kiss. Their intimate moment is interrupted by a staff member, who urges Beau to prepare for his performance. Reluctantly, they part ways when Chiles requests time to consider Beau's offer. He grants her the space she needs, and then he leaves. The subsequent scene showcases Beau taking the stage, seated before a piano, amid the enthusiastic cheers of the audience. He dedicates his performance to Kelly Cantor, hailing her as an exceptional singer, one of a kind. Kelly watches from backstage, a smile gracing her lips. Beau commences his rendition with a soul-stirring voice, brimming with raw emotions that captivate the audience's hearts. Kelly strides into Chiles' room, asking her to take a paper and a pen. Her wisdom-filled gaze meets Chiles' troubled eyes, and she begins to impart her counsel upon the aspiring songstress, like a mentor sharing her invaluable insights. Commencing with advising Chiles on how to enhance her appearance and attire for. He speaks of the significance of choosing the right foods and drinks to indulge in before the event, with a keen understanding of how they can affect one's performance. When Kelly inquires if one of Chiles' parents is in trouble, Chiles, tears brimming in her eyes, assents. Kelly counsels her to be candid with her fans and to unburden herself of her secrets, freeing herself from the weight on her shoulders. As they part ways, Kelly leaves Chiles with a parting smile, revealing that her intuition led her to offer this guidance. Her words linger in the air, leaving Chiles with a sense of awe and inspiration. Next, on the grand stage, Beau, a master of enchantment, casts his spell. He beckons with a graceful wave, and Chiles, a vision in her resplendent attire, steps forward with poise. Once off the stage, Beau approaches Kelly, who holds a magazine in her trembling hands. With eyes brimming with tears, Kelly confides in Beau, bemoaning with great sorrow the loss of her precious babe. Though her heart is burdened with sorrow, she declares her unwavering resolve, steadfast in her determination, which will leave her adoring fans awe-inspired. Then, in the next scene, James takes his place before Kelly, his heart surging with an unparalleled fervor for her. Kelly, consumed by the impending moment of her performance, beseeches him to defer their discourse for the present, her mind preoccupied with the stage. The audience's clamor for her presence intensifies, and with a graceful stride, she takes to the stage. Kelly emerges, her dainty fingers on the guitar strings with finesse, and she begins her song with unmatched ardor, her dulcet voice reverberating through the grand venue. Her movements are imbued with vivacity, and her voice exudes an unrestrained passion that seems to flow from the very depths of her soul. James watches her with a smile gracing his countenance, captivated by her triumphant resurgence. Kelly's performance is a sight to behold, a spectacle of raw emotion. Every note she plays and every word she sings resonates with a profound intensity, leaving the audience in awe. In the following scene, Kelly undergoes a wondrous transformation, donning a bewitching black gown that clings to her curves with an air of alluring mystery, and returning to the stage. Later, clad in another resplendent golden gown that drapes around her form like liquid sunlight, her voice soars with passion as she sings the long-awaited song of coming home. Behind her, images from her life flicker and dance. As the last strains of the song fade into the air, the audience erupts into thunderous applause, showering Kelly with adoration. Her eyes sparkle with a sense of accomplishment, and a triumphant glow envelops her. Stepping off the stage, journalists swarm around her, their cameras capturing her every step. Yet, Kelly remains composed, her demeanor poised and regal, as she closes the door behind her, retreating to her chamber, the echoes of her resplendent performance still lingering in the air. Kelly goes straight to her room and closes the door behind her, making an excuse to fix her makeup. Thus, James and Chiles, accompanied by their band, immerse themselves in merriment and jollity. The gathered crowd buzzes with speculation, pondering whether Kelly will ever reclaim her former splendor and sustain it amidst the ever-changing tides of fortune. Meanwhile, Chiles finds himself in an interview with the press, regaling them with tales of his own exploits. As the revelry continues, Beau asks James, his face fraught with concern for Kelly's whereabouts. James, with a knowing smile, reveals that she is occupied with fixing her makeup and will return in due time, resplendent as ever. The air is charged with anticipation. James and Chiles, the life of the party, hold court with their wit and charm, while Kelly's absence only adds to the enigma. All eyes are on her, waiting for her appearance for the interview. As the celebration reaches its end, and the fate of Kelly's glory hangs in the balance, it casts a spell of uncertainty over the presents. Afterwards, with a mounting sense of trepidation, Beau makes his way to Kelly's room, looking for her. He reaches out to knock on the closed door, but alas, there is no answer. Undeterred, he calls out her name. Filled with a sense of foreboding, he cannot contain his concern any longer. With great reluctance, Beau pushes open the door, his eyes widening in distress at the sight that greets him. Kelly lies on the couch, her face pallid, and empty medication bottles littered haphazardly nearby. His heart clenches in anguish as he pleads with her, his voice tinged with desperation, asking about the pills she ingested. He holds her in his arms, willing her to respond, but she remains unresponsive, lost in a deep sleep. James stands by in shock, unable to find the words to express his own dismay at the scene unfolding before him. With a sense of urgency, Kelly is swiftly transported to the hospital, where James anxiously awaits. The doctor, draped in a somber veil of sorrow, approaches James with a heavy heart, delivering the devastating news of Kelly's passing. Through tear-filled eyes, Beau peers through the window, consumed by a tumultuous wave of guilt for not safeguarding her better. James, in turn, crumples into despair, releasing his grief in a torrent of tears. In the wake of this heart-wrenching tragedy, Beau packs his belongings, preparing to depart from the place that now holds only memories of pain and loss. After Kelly's untimely demise, she leaves a letter for her dearest Beau, imbued with her own words of wisdom, confessing that love and fame can never thrive in the same domain. The letter, wrought with the utmost care and sincerity, imparts upon him the precious advice to opt for and prioritize love above all else. In her letter, she reveals that each fleeting moment graced by his presence bears no regret, for he has enriched her twilight days with unadulterated bliss. Her heart overflows with treasured memories of their shared hours. As Beau peruses her penned sentiments, tears gush down his face, and he embarks on his own journey. The denouement unfurls, a poignant scene of Beau, his soul bared for all to see, entrancing a quaint bar with his mellifluous serenade. His voice, a vessel of raw emotion, pours into each note, tugging at heartstrings and igniting a chorus of emotions in the gathered audience. Once his performance draws to an end, he takes a moment to express his gratitude to the captivated listeners. And then, as if fate herself intervened, Chiles walks into the bar. Her mere presence electrifies the air, and the weight of their shared history hangs palpably in the space between them. Beau, unable to resist the pull of their memories, invites her to join him on stage. With a delicate grace, Chiles accepts the invitation and settles by Beau's side, the air charged with a sense of long-awaited reunion. Their eyes meet, and the unspoken feelings between them speak volumes. It's a moment of serendipity, a collision of their past and present. In that moment, they begin to sing with a passion that rivals the blaze of 1,000 suns, just as they had done in days of yore. The final scene captures the essence of the human experience, a tale of love's endurance and the fragility of worldly pursuits. A symphony of emotions conducted by fate's hand leaves us with a profound understanding that in the ebb and flow of life, love remains the eternal refrain, echoing through the ages with unwavering grace.